Boom! We are pre-recorded, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you're having a wonderful day. It is Wednesday, April the 24th, approximately 8 a.m. in Costa Rica CST time. We're going to be diving in. Now, yesterday we got a little excited and Bitcoin didn't close on the daily above 5,600, and that's a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Because it means we're outside of the volume profile range fill that we were looking for that might bring us to 6,000. Now, again, what's important here is when watching volume profile and range fills is looking for where you stop and then where you close. So I've actually gone ahead and updated my fill range here, so it's a little clearer. You can actually edit the settings for all this. Again, for all the members, we're working on videos on how to do this kind of stuff, but essentially I've blocked out my volume profile fill so you can see where some of the gaps are. Now there's a lot of resistance here at the 5,600 mark, and then we closed back down, which is likely bringing us back down to the $5,300 area. So seeing as we didn't close on the daily, it removed that potential to go to 6,000 or potentially higher. Again, we had the possibility of going all the way up to 6,500. As you can see, there's a gap in the volume profile fill here. As I zoom out, it actually becomes even more noticeable where these gaps are and then where they line up to. Again, the big first gap here was at around 5,500 and 5,600, and then the topped out there at 5,660. So the next gap would have brought us to 6,000, and then there's a massive amount of support and resistance at 6,200. Now, yesterday I made the comments that we're all kind of ridiculous, and this market has been doing some rather ridiculous things. So I just want to keep this in mind, that seeing as we closed on the daily below 5,600, that's not a great sign. It means we couldn't break out past this little volume profile nub here. Again, which means that we'll likely come back down to 5,300 to test both the EMA and this volume gap. Now, I'm still under the assertion that we're going lower. We're definitely going to go touch 3,900 to 4,200, and I would suspect 3,200 and possibly lower. Anytime we've been red on the NVT for large amounts of time, we expect a 30 to 40% drop, which would bring us down to around the $3,600 area. I think that's likely. Now, again, there's two possible, these are ranges of possibilities, right? So when we were down at 3,000 and we said, okay, B wave could bring us to 52, 54, 56, and 59, these all are in decreasing likelihood of possibility. That in the 5,900 to 65, or yeah, 5,900 to $6,500 area, that was the extreme unlikely, but still possible. We have to remember that anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. Maybe I'll become president one day. Seems unlikely, but hey, there's a possibility. Now, the decreasing of ranges of possibility right now become, well, Tio might become president. Tio for president 2020. Anyways, the point of the story is, seeing as we close down on the daily on Bitcoin below that 6,000, that $5,600 area, and we've dropped down to 5,480 right now, I think we're going to try to test that one more time, specifically at the 5,620 to the 5,690 part. That's where these two big volume profile stubs are before coming back down to test 5,300. If we drop below around 5,000 again, like I said, the $4,800 and $4,900 mark drops us all the way back down to around 41 to 4,200. Whether or not we go lower, I still have bets placed as low as 1,000 and 1,600. So what I've suggested, and this is not investment advice, is that a 33.33333% entry broken up 3 times seems like the most viable option. Right, so anywhere between the 3,200 to 4,200, that was that first band. Now, for those of you that remember when we were talking about this type of information, it actually comes from the zoom out charts of Bitcoin. So let's actually, we'll get out a log here to make it a little easier to see. We'll move all this. Yes, $90,000 Bitcoin, way up here. We'll be there one day, but not today. See, like how I'm not making videos that say $100,000 Bitcoin, even though we're going there. Maybe I should. This video might be called Bitcoin to $1,600, just for a confusion, to make confusion for everyone, and get rid of any of the haters that might be, still following us for any particular reason. So anyways, on the volume profile here, you can see we have this big gap between the 5,600 or the $6,000 area and the 4,300 and the $3,200 area. This is why we said this would be the first range of support and resistance. But as you zoom out, this gap here below 3,900, 3,800 drops us down to 2,600, and then there's a big drop down to 1,000. I still think that we're going to try to fill this range. We want to fill this range to have a much better stable ground for liftoff later on down the road. And that's extremely important, because if we don't fill this gap, there's always that kind of wandering weakness down near the bottom. And that's like having a weak sentiment in your floor or your foundation. It's just not a great way to go. You want your foundation to be as strong as possible. So I would assume, and let's make a better operating assumption out of the fact that any logical and technical trader on a fundamental basis is going to want to try to fill this big gap before we extend out into the $180,000, $2 million Bitcoin range. That's very possible over the next few years, because if we don't fill this gap, there's always those extra 50,000 plus Bitcoin wallets just waiting on the exchange, ready to dump to build their businesses. So I suspect we have more down time still. I don't think we're going to break out into new all-time highs or anything near it. If we do have that fake out into the 6,000, maybe even 6,500 on the crazy ridiculousness that we all are, then again, we're going to come back down lower. Now, 100% bets on coming back lower to the $3,900 to $4,200 range, and with the decreasing likelihood around 80% bets at the $2,800, $2,500 range, and then again, decreasing likelihood down to the $1,000 and $1,600 range. But again, the dollar cost averaging at around 33.3% into each of those particular thresholds leaves you a nice, well-balanced portfolio somewhere around the $2,500 mark for entry in between those areas. So again, anyone who's just rushing in or FOMOing, these are the exact attitudes that are going to get you into trouble. I think that the most common misunderstanding is that people are going to try to jump in here to make their life savings back or to win. You'd be like, yeah, I made $1 million for the first time ever from crazy internet money. A big part of this, I think, is people really starting to understand what the heck is going on in the world of finance, which doesn't seem to be happening quite yet. Let's take a quick look at Litecoin, and we'll actually look at it versus Bitcoin here as well. It's cup and handle is actually breaking down. So now the real fun part starts to come in. See how much Litecoin has fallen versus Bitcoin's price in the last, let's see, what is this, 3 or 4 days? Let's see, since its top to the bottom here, approximately 16 days, it's fallen 30% against Bitcoin's price. That is a huge fall, right? So we did the same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum hasn't fallen as much. It's actually been quite stable with Bitcoin, but even still, we've had nothing but a downtrend since the original start of that upwards momentum on February 19th. Ethereum has been falling consistently. This is why we always chart in Bitcoin price terms, is because they are vastly different. Now, Litecoin's actually about to invalidate that cup and handle that we were looking for a potential entry in. So on the daily right now, see how we've stepped up against the 100-day exponential moving average right around here. If we break lower than that, let's say 12,000 Satoshis, that's invalidated this cup and handle, and I would not make any bets in this movement. And as a matter of fact, it almost invalidated this movement right here at around 14,000 Satoshis. So I'm not betting on this cup and handle movement with Litecoin, not even close. Both Ethereum and Litecoin still have room for upside, but again, it depends what Bitcoin does. I don't think the rest of the ecosystem really gives two shits about what the rest of the market does, because Bitcoin is our leading indicator. Now, a lot of people in the last few days jumped on board like, oh my god, it's the golden cross. This is a huge, but the bull trend has started. Golden crosses can happen in the reverse very, very quickly. So I suspect, as you can see, the golden cross, where was actually, am I seeing it here? No, I'm not. I don't have the 200-day moving average open. These are only exponential moving averages. I'm not going to show you right now, but essentially the moving cross hit just as we hit this all-time high. That's not a great sign. That's actually a fairly bearish signal. I don't have the resources open to show you that right now, but essentially the moving cross, or the golden cross that everyone's get excited about, is hitting when you have maxes on the NVT, which is a great indicator. A shout out to Crown and for showing me that, and Willie Woo for helping redefine or define it as well. It's been around for a while, but as you can see, this NVT has been maxed out, and anytime the NVT maxes out, we see drops come in not too long after. Now, one of the key points, I mean, at least if you look in the previous history, it's when the moving averages of the NVT cross too. So I suspect we're going to be looking for a cross on the NVT and the moving average for this to really be a noticeable breakdown. So we've got close eyes on Bitcoin at all times at the current moment, because it's imperative that we pay attention to Bitcoin because it controls all the other markets. And as I've said, if I'm in a position, for instance, I was in a long position with BNB. Right now, as soon as I saw Bitcoin start to move, I closed out my BNB token because Bitcoin leaves waves, and in its wake, it almost wrecks everybody else. So I think it's extremely important. Those are my quick updates for Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Because we didn't close in the daily above 5,600, it's brought us back into the bearish sentiment. 6,000 now is off the table. We need to close with volume on the daily in 5,600 for me to have any probability of us going to 5,900. So currently that's again off the table. That's how quickly TA changes. What people don't understand is they think that it's a definitive idea. No, it helps increase your understanding of the possibility and the probability of why things happen, because there are so many other traders and bots in this game paying attention to the same signs and symbols. Let's deal with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all to the private Bear Den members. The second chapter of your book will be coming out. The newsletter is on its way. The community is growing ferociously. We had another bunch of signups, so we're going to be closing out the $30 mark probably in about another 200 people. I guess we've almost filled the other 250 spot gap there. For those of you that have asked, anyways, give us those thumbs up. It doesn't really matter. We love you guys. I'm so grateful for the support. Thank you to all the bear admins. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and the community at large. You guys are so supportive of one another. I couldn't do it without you. Signing off for the rest of the day. arcanebear.com/club if you want to join the private Bear Den member newsletter. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we actually put out there, very, very exciting. Join the community Telegram channel where all the chats are free. The community is very helpful with everyone there too. But we'll be keeping a close eye. As you can see, the MACD was about to try to cross, and then it didn't, and then turned around. So again, on the daily here, we're actually looking quite bearish for Bitcoin, especially because we didn't close above 5,600 on the daily, and that's what we were looking for. This is why we do daily updates, is so that it can make more sense. A lot of people seem to have a hard time understanding that. But for those of you that do, I'm grateful for all your support. And for those of you that don't, well, I hope you find somewhere that makes more sense to you. We'll see you guys on the other side.